Welcome to this explainer. It's pretty wild, but human beings are actually hardwired to fall for confidence over competence. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating area of human behavior, the exact psychological markers that separate genuine intelligence from a mere performance. We live in a world where it's incredibly easy to put on a show, but true intellect leaves fingerprints that are actually impossible to fake for very long. Think about it for a second. How often do we just completely mistake a loud, super confident delivery for actual smarts? We see someone commanding a room, dropping these incredibly impressive vocabulary words, and we just automatically assume, wow, they must be the smartest person here. But psychology reveals that looking smart and being smart are two entirely different things. Literally anyone can memorize a few fancy phrases or strike a posture of superiority.
So, the fundamental difference really breaks down like this. Fake intelligence, it relies purely on superficial style. It's just a veneer. Real intelligence, on the other hand, is rooted entirely in substance. It shows up in actual thinking patterns and how a person behaves when they're put under intense pressure, and honestly, most importantly, in how their mind actually handles the truth. Fake smart people can easily copy the style, but they fundamentally struggle to copy the substance.
Okay, let's dive straight into sign number 1, simplifying the complex to create absolute clarity.
Look, anyone can make a simple concept sound incredibly complicated, but real, genuine thinkers do the exact opposite. Think about the legendary physicist Richard Feynman. He was famous not for using big, unpronounceable words, but for explaining quantum mechanics so simply that literally anyone could grasp it. Fake smart people tend to hide behind complicated industry jargon because, well, it creates a barrier. It makes them seem inaccessible and kind of above everyone else. Genuine intellectuals just don't need that barrier. Psychology actually shows us that a deep, substantive understanding is exactly what gives you the superpower to simplify material for other people. It takes a massive amount of brain power to distill a really convoluted topic down to its absolute essence. So if someone is confusing you on purpose, yeah, they might not be quite as smart as they desperately want you to think. The ultimate rule of thumb here is, if you truly understand it, you can absolutely simplify it.
Moving right along to sign number 2, flexibility over ego, or the art of changing your mind.
Real intelligence is closely linked by psychologists to this awesome concept called cognitive flexibility. And all this means is that you can gracefully adjust your beliefs when new facts are presented to you. Notice the really important keyword on the screen there, calmly. Now, let's be real, updating our core beliefs calmly is incredibly hard for the human brain to do without throwing a bit of a massive inward tantrum. But true intellectuals don't do the whole dramatic ego collapse thing, and they certainly don't treat a simple disagreement like a deeply personal attack.
It's super fascinating when you look at the underlying motivation here. A fake smart person gets highly defensive because their absolute primary goal is just protecting their public image. Admitting they were wrong totally fractures that image. But a genuinely intelligent person, they prioritize protecting the accuracy of their knowledge. They're actually thrilled to be corrected because it means they're walking away with better, truer information than they had just 5 minutes ago.
That brings us to sign number 3, precise questions and identifying gaps. Think about the last time you were sitting in a really dense, boring meeting. While everyone else is just kind of nodding along, high-level thinkers are actively listening to identify the gaps. They pinpoint exactly where the confusion is, which underlying assumptions are weak, or exactly what critical piece of data is missing from the whole conversation. They literally see the negative space in a discussion so much faster than the average person. And again, it all comes down to motive. Fake smart people will talk in endless circles just because they want to sound like they already have all the answers. They desperately want to sound informed. But the truly intelligent, they simply want better information. They use precise, targeted questions like little scalpels to cut right through the noise and get to the actual reality of the situation.
All right, here is sign number 4, embracing the unknown and handling uncertainty.
When you ask a fake smart person a question they honestly don't know the answer to, just watch their behavior. They completely panic. You might even see the Dunning-Kruger effect happening right there in real time. They'll bluff their way through it, deflect to another topic entirely, or just start over-talking to fill the awkward silence. But true intellectuals, they stay perfectly, totally calm. They possess this secure competence that just doesn't require them to pretend they have absolute certainty about everything in the universe.
This is exactly what psychology calls intellectual humility. It really boils down to just 4 simple words. I don't know yet. Intelligent people completely trust their own ability to learn.
They are so remarkably secure in their capacity to figure things out that they can comfortably and very publicly admit when they simply do not know something. Adding that little word "yet" at the end, that is the absolute true mark of a sharp, endlessly curious mind.
And our final psychological marker, number 5, growth via feedback and how you process critique. To a fake, smart person, any kind of feedback is seen as a massive threat to their carefully constructed persona. They hear it as a direct, painful insult. But highly intelligent people treat useful, constructive feedback as raw data. It doesn't crush them, it actually sharpens them. They view a critique as incredible leverage that they can use to upgrade their own mental software and dramatically improve their future performance.
This is truly the ultimate separator between the two. Genuine thinkers completely understand that maintaining some exhausting illusion of absolute flawlessness is not only impossible, it's a huge waste of energy. They enthusiastically choose genuine, measurable growth over the totally hollow victory of just appearing to be perfect.
Let's bring this all together with our final takeaway, substance over style, looking at the whole picture.
Psychology makes one thing exceptionally clear here. Real intelligence really does not need a performance. It doesn't need to shout from the rooftops. It just naturally shows up as you communicate with clarity, adapt to new facts, ask those really sharp, precise questions, sit comfortably in total uncertainty, and hunger for useful feedback. Look, anyone can imitate confidence. And sure, anyone can memorize a few fancy phrases to drop at a dinner party. But these 5 cognitive habits, those are significantly harder to fake, mostly because they stem directly from how your mind actually works on a fundamental level.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to ask yourself this final, somewhat provocative question. When you navigate your career, your studies, and your everyday conversations, are you merely trying to keep up an image? Or are you actively building the psychological substance that makes you absolutely impossible to fool? Think about it. Thanks so much for exploring these fascinating concepts with me today, and definitely keep striving for that real substance over superficial style.